And welcome into Half the Distance Live, your weekly barroom commentary NFL podcast.
Semi-weekly.
That's it. Last week it was Half the Distance, all the COVID.
COVID is still a bitch.
I am Matty Fax, joined by Brian the Professor. We are unfortunately still without Sconathan Staten, Mr. Stats. He has a migraine today, and both of our producers are out. I believe Up Greg had to work. And, Dick Woodcock, the great skunk hunter, he of many nicknames, is still out with COVID also. So here we are.
He had too much woodcock.
Yes.
It fucked up his throat.
Indeed, it did.
Splinters. Oh,
He's been coughing nonstop.
Careful,
So, last week we were unable to do our show during the beginning of the AFC Championship game. I'm sorry, the NFC Championship game. But I would like to go over.
Oh, yeah.
Not the stats. It doesn't. You all know how the games went, but I'd like to discuss a few things about them. And we'll start with the Ravens against the Chiefs, because I found the most shocking thing to be that they went completely away from what got them to this point.
Yep.
They had been a very run-first team that ran very successfully, and they started out running the ball successfully. Gus Edwards, 14 yards on his first carry.
Right away.
And they gave him 2 more whole carries the whole game to reward him.
That. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? That's successful.
And, the plays weren't laid out for Lamar to fucking break out.
Yeah.
Running game for the Ravens, which made them all season long. No.
Also fascinating to me was, there were some plays where you could see, if Lamar just wanted to run.
Oh, yeah.
There was 15 to 20 yards he could pick up. But I think part of it is so many people haven't gotten in his ear of, you're not
a running quarterback.
You're a quarterback. Don't run the ball. You're not a running back.
And he stayed in the
championship
game.
No, you do whatever you have to win.
God, yep. Oh, and then next year, I'm sure they're going to be in the same kind of scenario, and he's going to run every fucking time he shouldn't.
Yep.
He needs a therapist to fucking train him to do the right things all the time. A lot of time that's running. Sometimes it's passing. Just do what feels right.
I agree.
You've earned that at this point.
Absolutely.
3 years ago, no, you didn't earn that. Now, yeah. You know when you should run and when you should take a second read.
You might be about to win your second MVP. We don't know yet.
It could be.
But
it could be.
You've earned the right to do whatever you want to as far as those plays go in the championship game.
Yep.
Whatever it takes to win.
It was like a totally different Ravens team.
Yes.
Totally different.
And Kelsey made the safety trying to cover him just look bad all day. Kyle, his name is escaping me at this point. It came out of Notre Dame a couple years ago. He's an excellent defensive player. Kelsey burned him constantly.
Kelsey's going to do Kelsey things, though.
This is true. Also interesting I found in that is that the Chiefs were just so willing to rely on the running game in the second half and just burn away time.
Yeah. They were smart, and I don't give credit to Mahomes for this. I think this is all Reed.
Well, it certainly wasn't Matt Nagy. We know he doesn't like to run the ball consistently.
No, but they ran it so much, but not all the time. Mm-hmm. They'd be 3rd and 2. Oh, it's got to be fucking running play. Nope. We're going to fucking throw a 23-yard pass. Yep. Just to keep you fucking guessing the whole time.
And I guess Marquez Valdes-Scantling got all those late game dropsies out of the way during the regular season, because, man, did he come up in the clutch at the end of that game.
And he is the one guy that I would not ever bet on. Ever.
No.
He is Mr. Unreliable.
Speaking of unreliable, it was really funny. There was a AI deepfake of Andy Reid at a press conference this week, where he was saying Kadarius Stoney, I don't know why that guy with no hands is out here, he's killing everybody. It was just so funny, and it's I love that AI brings us these hilarious things.
My favorite part about that, and again, total AI.
Yeah, absolutely fake.
Perfectly well done. Mm-hmm. I'm 98% sure that's exactly what Andy Reid would like to say.
Absolutely!
That's what made it so good. It wasn't fake beyond belief. It was okay, we know he didn't say that. He wants to say that.
He absolutely wants to say that. Oh my God, they are so garbage. Kadarius on his hands was just garbage.
Yep.
As far as
Kadarius Stoney?
Hey, Kadarius hands of Stoney, you're right. Chiefs back in the Super Bowl.
Again.
4 out of 5 times. If they win again, they will equal this span that the Patriots had of a 4 out of 5 Super Bowls, winning 3.
Which is monster impressive.
It is huge. Yep. Did we really just go from Belichick Brady to
Reid Mahomes?
To Reid Mahomes?
Yeah.
Is it just transitioned that easily? Also,
part of me I'm not gonna. We're not gonna have the GOAT conversation today. But Belichick, Brady, clearly the GOATs of this era.
the
Clearly.
past 30 years.
And you would think it's gonna be a number of years, maybe a decade, maybe more, before that happens again. And fucking no.
Yeah.
Like, while Brady's still playing at the end of his fucking tenure, fucking Mahomes.
Yep.
And fucking Andy Reid.
And Mahomes is... Brady's the only one that's beaten Mahomes in the playoffs, other than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Like, Joe Burrow got that ice in the veins, too, but that's one win.
Yep.
Brady's actually managed to do it twice. Josh Allen has yet to do it. And that's not a knock against Josh Allen and the Bills. It's a team sport.
Yeah, yeah.
But, man, that's got to really suck.
Kansas City did not look good last week. They did not.
Without Mahomes running that offense.
Well,
the defense is great, though.
That's like saying the Patriots without Brady. Come on. You can't say that,
You're right. It is unfair. But there's something to be said for what Reid has done in his career. But the quarterbacks he's had, like McNabb fits into a weird spot. At a certain point in his career, I thought he was a little overrated. Now I think people don't look at him with enough respect, which is kind of a weird thought process to have, too. But then he made Alex Smith look very good, too. Alex Smith had a good career in the end with Andy Reid.
Playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And because they had Alex Smith, Mahomes got to actually sit and learn for a year, which seems to be that whole sitting and learning worked out well for Jordan Love, too.
Kind of important?
Yeah. Kind of interesting. So,
like, maybe you draft a quarterback early on in the first round and you actually let them learn before you unleash them?
Yes. I'm sure Bryce Young would have appreciated that this year. The other game, the 49ers beat the Lions in San Francisco. It was a close game. The Lions were up, I believe, 17 at one point.
The first half was an amazing half if you're a Lions fan.
Absolutely, and the comeback was amazing. But like most comebacks, you have to have some rather freaky plays occur, too. And that Brandon Ayuk catch off of the hands of Kendall Vinder, who was getting burned all game.
But right in his hands.
Yes.
Oh man.
And, I get it. That, like, you, if you're starting him, that means you have no one better than him behind him.
Yep.
But as bad as he was getting burned, I'm surprised they didn't at least try somebody else.
Something? More disguises. Like, the one thing that the Chiefs did really well was disguise zone defenses. Really, really well done. Really well done. If they did more of that, maybe a different outcome. But
I don't know, because the entire thing was so strange. They had 140 rushing yards in the first half, the Lions did, and then they kind of abandoned. Everything changed so quickly because you have that deep pass to Ayuk, they get the touchdown, and I believe it was the very next series, the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles the ball. Bad day for rookies, because in the previous game, Zay Flowers fumbles right on the 1 yard line, or actually right at the goal line.
At the goal line, yeah.
Which does make an argument for not playing rookies in very big, important spots, but at the same time,
they were both so good all season.
They have been, and I don't think that you can define their yes, and a very unfortunate timing.
Don't define them by that, though.
No, they're going to be very good players in the NFL, but it was a rough day for them.
And I think, for Jahmyr Gibbs, like, being on that team with that coach and that environment, it's not going to change him. He's going to continue to excel. He's going to get better and better. Zay Flowers, that might hurt him. Maybe only the first 6 games next season, but that's going to fucking stick in his brain for way longer than it should. Yeah.
About extending when you're trying to get a touchdown, too.
Yeah. But if he wouldn't have, and they would have lost, they were like, oh, if only he would have tried to extend to get,
Yes.
You can't win. You can't win, and they have to know that.
Which brings me to the other point of this, was the Daniel Campbell. I know it's been talked about ad nauseum at this point, but he did go for it on 4th down twice. Was unable to pick it up both times. And that was pretty bad, but I thought the most egregious play was at the very end of the game when they have the 3 timeouts. And then they ran on the 3rd down and had to burn a timeout.
Yeah.
And the problem is, you may as well just stop playing then, because once you've given up that one of your 3 timeouts,
that clock
you don't get the ball back.
So fucking important.
Yeah. So I was just in shock that they actually tried running. And I get it. You know what? They're a running team. They have a great run blocking offensive line. They got Penei Sewell on the right side. They had David Montgomery in there. He's a power back, very strong. It didn't work out, and I realized again, they did what got them there. And I will never talk trash about a team for having done that.
I would never say it was the wrong call. Like, I just wouldn't. Like, you hoped it worked out better.
Yes.
And it didn't. You know,
But man, for Lions fans, I felt so bad. Like, to be that close to a Super Bowl, finally, to have the lead and just have to watch the 49ers just chip away. But they had players, look, Kittle had one of the best run blocks I've seen on Aiden Hutchinson. Completely pancaked him right onto his back. It was fantastic.
It was so fun to watch.
And it's
again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's still popping up in my TikTok.
I know. And you know that he was laughing his ass off as he did it. Because Kittle plays with a very much an exuberance and a joy.
Oh, that crackhead looking motherfucker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just fantastic.
I do feel bad for Hutchinson. Like, he was my boy last year. I picked him for Rookie of the Year. Like, he's a good defensive player. And, like, he just didn't see that coming.
Well,
and he should have, but he didn't.
One of the best blocking tight ends in the game, too.
Yeah. Oh,
the man likes to block as much as he likes to catch the ball. Maybe more than he likes to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Which is why, for fantasy purposes, he can be kind of dangerous to have on your team.
Yep.
But he can also produce. So, and,
Great fucking game, though. Oh.
It was a fantastic. I thought both games, the Ravens and Chiefs one was fascinating because of how close the Ravens kept coming to scoring and getting into it.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs just making the right plays at the right time.
Yep.
The Lions one, just a fantastic one for the comeback by the 49ers. It hurt to see if you were rooting for the Lions, but...
I mean, if you're the Lions, and again, this is all hindsight, and this is like well wishes, but like that Lions team versus the 49ers this year that stayed actually mostly healthy, like, you didn't have a shot in hell of beating the 49ers.
Nope.
On paper, no fucking way.
Nope.
Holy shit. You know, like, I think the Niners are like, we're going to watch this game tape of the first half again and again and again and again from every fucking angle to see how the fuck they did that to us.
Yes.
How the fuck did they do that, you know?
Because you know that the Chiefs are looking at it and saying,
Oh,
what are we doing?
Yep. How can we do that? Yeah. How can we do that? Let's be first half Lions the entire Super Bowl. Yeah.
Because you do not want to give Patrick Mahomes a 17-point lead.
No.
That'll be end of the game. So I just found those things to be kind of fascinating. I did like Dan Campbell afterwards saying he had no qualms or regrets about the decisions. That's where you got to be. You cannot sit there and go, boy, yeah, I wish I had that one back now.
Like you said, the decisions he made got them there.
Yep.
You can't change it because the game changed.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to go with what works for you. All right, so those were the games. We now have the Chiefs and the 49ers. Chiefs will be wearing red in this Super Bowl, and the 49ers will be in white. The interesting there is like the last team to win while not wearing white jerseys in the Super Bowl was actually the Chiefs when they played the 49ers. Don't know how that's going to work out. Also, no team traveling west to play a team that's traveling east in the Super Bowl has ever lost, is another thing I saw. So,
wait, say it again?
A team traveling west has never lost to a team traveling east on one thing I saw. It's like 7 games where it's like not north or south or that, but just straight east to west.
And they're barely traveling east.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know how... A lot of these things you see it and it's like, this seems more circumstantial than anything else. But I think it'll be a fun game. I think it will. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's discuss MVP race. The NFL Honors did release their list of 5 players that are up for each of these postseason or season awards, regular season awards. For the MVP, it's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy. Going to run through their stats real fast. Josh Allen, 4,306 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. But he also had 524 yards rushing and 15 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
Then you've got Lamar Jackson, 3,678 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 821 yards rushing, and 5 touchdowns. McCaffrey, 1,459 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns, 67 catches, 564 yards. That is over 2,000 combined yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns. Dak Prescott, 4,500 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 242 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. And Brock Purdy, 4,280 yards passing, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, to go with 144 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. The interceptions on Josh Allen don't help. However, it's very offset by the rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
And he did somehow pull off win after win after win at the end of the season. Did not only get them in, but get them the 2nd seed.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson It's not the most mind-blowing stats, but he had the top team in the AFC.
He is improving.
Yes.
Like, for a team, this is his best season ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his interceptions were down. His rushing touchdowns were down. And they had more wins.
Yep.
Like, he actually became more of a throwing quarterback, and the team did better.
Yep.
Unlike the championship game.
Where he should have run some.
Where he should have run.
Yes. Yes.
But, like, I think, like, I mean, he improved, and, like, we're not talking about, like, you know, most improved player, unexpectedly improved player, but he is becoming more and more of the total package. And
Yes.
I am not a Lamar Jackson fan. I'm not. I like the Ravens, but I like the Ravens because I'm old, because they were the defensive powerhouse of the NFL. Mm-hmm. They could be 8-8 and fuck you up with their defense.
Badly.
And they're not that team anymore. It's
No.
a different
Their defense
generation.
is good, but it's not that
It's
good.
not that team anymore, you know? So, like, to watch him really, really grow as a quarterback, I want him to get the MVP. I don't think he will, but I want him to
Who
get
do
the
you think
MVP.
will?
McCaffrey. McCaffrey is the best, especially this season, the best all-around football player we have ever seen in our lifetime. I'd say hands down.
I'd have a hard time thinking of an argument against him being, especially given the fact how few running backs produce
It's
like
so
this
rarely
these days.
happens too, yeah.
But that's the problem of it being him being a running back. This seems like a quarterback award. It almost feels to me like he is going to get the offensive player of the year, and they're going to give a quarterback the MVP.
I can see that.
You know?
Because they don't like to give the MVP to running backs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Dak,
Rarely to
being,
wide
being
receivers.
the Cowboys quarterback, they're going to, Jerry Jones, like, we're America's team. But, okay, yes, they beat a lot of teams.
But again,
Not-
MVP is regular season.
I know, but
Regular
like,
season.
But my thing here is, they lost almost every game they played against a winning team. They just play in a shit division.
Yeah.
Them and the Eagles.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like-
I mean, throw the Dolphins and Bills into that.
I'm just so thrown off because it's not like there's one guy that just stood out heads and tails as far as quarterbacks go. They all had these good things, but it's like you also had the bad aspects. Like, yes, Dak put up great numbers. He had a great season
Yeah, he did. A really good season.
until he played against good teams.
Yep.
And then he didn't play so well. So I don't really know. I'm going to guess they'll probably give it to Lamar, and then McCaffrey will get the offensive player of the year, is my guess.
I could see that. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And I mean, I think, again, I mean, everybody on that list is obviously deserving.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Brock Purdy, and I fucking hate to say this because you sound like every other fucking pundit.
you gonna call him a system quarterback?
No, oh God, no. Because of the amount of talent he is surrounded by. Like, I'm not saying you could plug any other decent quarterback into San Fran and they would be the same team. I'm not saying that. But the debate's going to be, well, come on. Without McCaffrey, without Kittle, without Debo, like, come on, anybody. Joe Flacco could have been plunked into San Fran and put up the same, you know. And I'm sure that's all they're talking about, you know.
It's a possibility.
But at the same time, like, no. I mean, I think Brody, Jesus Christ,
That's his name now.
he has carried that team. Because when
Kirk Brody.
when you're the quarterback, and it's really unique to football. Like, really no other sport is like, when you lose, you look at the same guy. When you win, you look at the same guy.
True.
That doesn't really happen in any other sport.
It's odd that
you
for a
know?
sport where there's 22 people playing at any given, like if starters,
It always goes
that
back
it comes
to the
back
QB.
to one out of those
Yep,
22 as
always.
it's all on him.
like, I mean, heavy is the head, but that's
This
the way
is
the
true.
sport is, yeah. So I wouldn't be against him winning it.
I'd like to see Josh Allen get it.
I don't want to
I
see
just
him
don't
get
think
it.
they're going to.
I don't want to see him get it.
No, you don't think he earned it?
Nope. I don't think he earned it.
All right. There is a bit of an argument because they had to fire his offensive coordinator halfway through that maybe he. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, and that's a good one too. That is, I mean, you change the guy that tells you how to fucking play. That's gonna change some shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Badly. All right. Well, defensive player of the year. You have Deron Bland, defensive back for the Cowboys. I don't have a lot of the how many yards he gave up or any of that stuff, but he did have
Because
9
sadly,
interceptions.
defensive stats are really fucking hard to dig up.
Yes. But he had 9 interceptions on the season with 5 touchdown returns, which
Yeah.
was an NFL record.
Yeah.
That's impressive. You've got Myles
And
Garrett.
2 of them he forced and then picked up the ball and returned it.
Yeah.
2 of them. That's fucking impressive.
Yes.
You know, when that happens once, that's fucking fun as shit.
You got Myles Garrett, 42 tackles, 14 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and led a really resurgent Browns defense. That was
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
Micah Parsons, 64 tackles, 14 sacks. TJ Watt, 68 tackles, 19 sacks. And then one that I found interesting, and I don't have the final number for this particular percentage thing, but Max Crosby, who had 55 tackles, 14 and a half sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. And at one point, he had played 98% of the defensive snaps for the season. Like, the man doesn't come off the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he is the one I would love to see get it.
Really?
So much effort that he gives.
Okay.
But I think TJ Watt is probably the one that's going to get it. You having trouble thinking about that one?
It's defense. Well, it's tough when you got to think about all the people that are voting on this and what they see, what they pay attention to, and how many of them are like, who? And then looking up stats like, oh, that's pretty fucking good. That boy good.
Well, yeah, but you take TJ Watt off that Steelers defense. That Steelers team's not making the playoffs.
No. Well, they eked in to begin with.
Yeah.
You know? But
without him,
you're
not even eking in.
Yeah, and so that's the conversation about like most valuable player is not the same as best player.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you take TJ Watt out of their fucking Steelers defense, yeah, they're not fucking going anywhere.
Yeah.
He is the most valuable defensive player on that team.
Absolutely. So who do you think's going to win it?
Say Bland.
Bland?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of nice.
Because that won't piss off anyone.
But didn't he get burned horribly by DK Metcalf on Monday Night Football?
Everyone has gotten burned horribly at some point by DK Metcalf.
I mean, granted, you're talking about a guy that's like 6'5", 230
That's like saying
pounds.
Tom
that runs
Brady
like a
made the
4.3.
secondary look like a bitch. Of course he did, you know?
Fair.
But
I'll accept
I
that.
think he's a safe vote.
All right. Max Crosby's the one I would like to see it, just because the guy just does not quit, does not stop playing. He's a lot of fun to watch because it's almost, it's more. I'm not saying he's not a good athlete, but it's the effort.
Okay, not based on voting and who votes and how they vote. I want Max Crosby to win it too, because if you go back and watch game tape on him, even if he's fucking pinned under 2 guys. He's still fucking reaching for whoever the fuck has the ball. He's like, this might help. I don't fucking know. I'm going to fucking, you know. And most guys are like, nope, I'm down. Fuck, I'm out of the play.
Yeah.
Not fucking Crosby.
Unrelenting effort.
Yes. And that should be fucking rewarded more.
I agree.
Especially defensively.
I agree, especially for the Raiders.
You know what? I changed it because of my hope. I want Max Crosby to win it. I'm saying Max Crosby.
All right, so Matt and Brian going for him. And, yeah, okay. We then have Offensive Player of the Year. Now, Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak Prescott are all up for this. But in addition to that, you have CeeDee Lamb, who had 135 catches, 1,749 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill, who had 119 catches, 1,799 yards, and 13 touchdowns thrown into the mix also. And if you want to hear something really sad, I had both of them on a fantasy team that did not win the championship.
I mean, I would say, hands down, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb.
You think so?
Not because he's better, but because his highlight reel is better. And I fucking hate that I'm even thinking this, but I think that's the way most of the voters are going to go. You look at Lamb's highlight reel for this season, and it's fucking fantastic.
It is, but this is the award I truly think is the one that McCaffrey's going to get.
Think so?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think he's
sure.
going to get Offensive Player of the Year. I would hope.
I think he should.
The one I wish would do it is Tyreek, because for a while there he was on a pace that was for almost at 2,000 yards,
fucking unstoppable. Yeah.
But I think McCaffrey, because he's not going to get the MVP, they will give him the offensive as a. Sorry about that, but here's this award.
Has anyone ever won
Both?
offensive
I don't know.
and Super Bowl MVP?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that one.
And again, it's a business.
It is.
Things happen for business senses as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, you know, if you look at, the first 10, 12 games of the season, how could you not say Tyreek Hill? How could you not say Tyreek Hill?
But then it is a recency bias. So who had the better end of the season?
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to make. Some of these choices.
Even though they say, like, no, it's only regular season. No, it's fucking not.
There's recency bias in it. Absolutely. They're going to hold against what the guys that made the playoffs, how they looked in the playoffs.
Yep.
Which is why Lamar Jackson might have a little smudge
I would
on
like
him.
to see it.
I agree.
But again, because the way they lost and because he didn't do enough to try to get them the win.
I don't know, man. It's tough. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jahmyr Gibbs, 945 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns, 52 catches for 316 yards and a touchdown. His teammate, Sam Laporta, 86 catches for 889 yards and 10 touchdowns.
They should both get Offensive Rookie
and
of the Year.
This was a top 4 rookie tight end of all time production.
It is Rookie Year.
Yeah.
It is Rookie Year.
This is Mike Ditka, Jeremy Shockey, and I don't remember who the third one was, and Sam Laporta. Then you have Puka Nacua, who I think set a record for rookie receptions and yards. Had 105 catches, 1,486 yards, and 6 touchdowns. You then have Bijan Robinson, 976 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 58 catches, 487 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Yeah. And then the one that I think is going to win it, C.J. Stroud. 4,108 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and got his team the AFC South Championship and got to the playoffs, managed to win a game. I'm not saying that I think he's going to get it because I think he's the most deserving.
They're all worthy.
Quarterbacks always win these goddamn awards.
But Rookie of the Year quarterback for the Houston Texans that no one fucking saw coming except for the Houston Texans front office.
Well, certainly not the Carolina Panthers.
Oh my god. Well, you fucked up, yeah. Oh my god, like.
As a Bears fan, thank you for DJ Moore, by the way. And for the first pick. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but shit.
And like, I've been watching football for goddamn years. I'm fucking old, you know? I have never seen an offensive rookie class that has such goddamn power players.
The thing that bothers me the most as a Bears fan
two on the same team.
2 of them, the Lions crushed this draft.
Yep.
And they got a lot of shit for it, if you remember the draft.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Jahmyr Gibbs.
What?
You could have gotten him in the second round. Jack Campbell,
tight end.
a
Jack
linebacker,
Campbell, what the fuck?
you could have gotten him in the second round. Branch, you could have gotten him. And they just keep talking about how you could have gotten these players at the other times.
Yep.
Oh, wait, look. They're all basically the best at their position for their fucking rookie year.
Yep.
A lot of draft pundits owe the Lions a huge apology. They'll never get it.
Oh, they will never say it.
They'll never admit it.
Yeah.
But they owe them an apology.
Yep.
And Puka Nacua, I think the Rams. This is going to be. This is an interesting theory I have here.
Yeah.
They need to trade all their draft picks for nothing but 5th rounders.
Because that's when they hit.
Yes. Kyron Williams, their running back. It's his second year, drafted in the 5th round this year, and they actually have footage of it where the Rams are about to pick the 5th round. Like, oh yes, we're gonna crush this. And like Puka Nacua, like. You have that kind of feeling about your 5th round pick? No one has that feeling about their 5th round pick.
For the most part, gives a shit after round 3.
They're like high-fiving each other about their 5th round pick. Everyone's like, what? And then he just produces.
Look at him. Yep.
Yeah, apparently if you are a wideout that can be featured in a Sean McVay offense, you are going to do lots of good things. Because it was kind of like having if you watch like the footage of like the practice stuff and like the things the wide receivers do, you could tell Cooper Kupp is a much more refined wide receiver. But man, to have 2 guys that can produce like that, it really led to the Rams' resurgence this year. It's fascinating. So, who would I like to see this? Honestly, I would like to see Puka win it because it's just cool. It's a 5th round pick. It's the really cool one. Like, this kid isn't supposed to do this. Jahmyr Gibbs is supposed to produce.
Does it matter if Brock Purdy wins MVP? That they're like, oh, these late round guys, I don't know. We can't have 2 of them.
I think it'd actually be a lot cooler if they both did. If Purdy got MVP and Puka Nacua got Rookie of the Year, and it's like, okay, this guy's in his 2nd year. He was the last pick in the draft. This guy was a 5th round pick. That'd be pretty sweet. That's something they could be like, look, this is why we televise every round of the draft.
Yep.
So you can see these guys getting picked. Kind of fascinating, I think.
If I was in charge of voting, I would say, okay, if you could build a team, which one would you want from this season? Mm-hmm. How could it not be Puka Nacua? I mean, I fucking love Jamar Gibbs and Sam Laporta. Fucking love both of them. Mm-hmm. But impact on a goddamn team, your rookie season. If you don't watch football, or if you're a casual football watcher and you happen to watch a Rams game, you're like, oh, this Nasua guy is pretty good.
Right?
You would have no fucking clue he was a rookie.
I don't know who this Puka Nukem guy is, but he's awesome.
Right? You would have no fucking clue. He was so goddamn dynamic.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Did not look like a rookie at all.
I don't see how he doesn't win it. I don't see how he doesn't.
I listened to fantasy podcasts all off season.
Yeah.
He wasn't even on my radar.
And that's fucking tragic. Oh, yep.
I feel dumb. I'm going to have to find some different ones to listen to, I think. Okay. Defensive Rookie of the Year. We have Jalen Carter. He that could have been the number one pick if it wasn't for character concerns.
Yeah.
33 tackles and 6 sacks. You might say that doesn't sound like much. At defensive tackle, that's a pretty good rookie year.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a lot of sacks in the interior line. You got Will Anderson Jr. from the Texans with 45 tackles and 7 sacks.
I'm biased, but I like him a lot.
You got Joey Porter Jr., and the stats don't say a whole lot because he only had 32 tackles and he only had 1 interception. But the stats don't say everything about defensive backs and how you don't throw towards them because they're that good.
Yep.
Also, that one hurts because the Steelers got that pick from the Chase Claypool trade for the Bears. So
That worked out well, right?
Ouch. You know what? It sucked. It was a bad beat.
Hey.
But you know what? I'd rather go down swinging and trying to better the team.
Yep.
You also have, as I just said about Jalen Carter, this one's pretty fascinating. Kobe Turner, defensive tackle for the Rams, 57 tackles, 9 sacks. Lining up next to Aaron Donald did him a lot of favors. And then you have Devin Witherspoon, defensive back for, I believe, the Seahawks, who had 79 tackles and 3 interceptions. So, I will be honest with you. I thought when they drafted Devin Witherspoon, I think this was the 5th pick, I was like, oh man, him and Tariq Woolen. That's going to be fascinating next year. Woolen had a really down year, though. He did not improve over his rookie year. Witherspoon was legitimately great.
Could be coaching.
Very well could
be. Yeah.
We'll find out because they're going to have all new coaches next year.
Yep. Seattle was in a weird fucking year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, for this one, the early favorite for this was Jalen Carter. He was wrecking shop early in the season. The Eagles defense...
It was consistent afterwards.
Yes. The Eagles defense kind of got run through by the end of the year, but that was more about their defensive backfield than anything else.
Losing the coordinator that knew how to fucking run that defense.
Yeah, well, lost a lot of interesting players, too, that were very good in the offseason, too. For me, I would like to see Kobe Turner just because it would be kind of, if the Rams managed to get the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year, it'd be kind of cool, kind of like last year with the Jets.
Oh, they did do it like,
yeah.
I feel like that's going to count against them.
Probably.
We can't do it 2 years in a row.
For that reason, Devin Witherspoon is one I'd like to see.
I would like to see Porter.
Yeah?
He's not electrifying. He's never going to be the guy that, like... He's not the defensive, like, TJ Watt. He's not a Sam Donald. He's not going to the flash guys, but, like, he seems really fucking smart.
Yes. Well,
really fucking smart.
Well, Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, Joey Porter was an excellent
probably learning those. Yeah.
He was an excellent linebacker for the Steelers. His son's an excellent defensive back.
But, like, and again, it should be a given if you're a fucking defensive lineman, you do your best to get to the QB, to cause trouble, to block those holes, but you're always watching that ball to fucking pick your hand
Also,
up.
the tackles and the sacks for defensive linemen, it says a lot, but it doesn't say everything.
Oh, God, no.
Because a lot of that is what's the pressure? Did
There's
you get
no,
hits
like,
on
interference
the
on the play stat.
Yeah. How many times were you held?
Did you tip a ball? Yeah. Shit. Right? Yeah. That should be included.
I agree.
Hey, I could do that shit now,
So.
But, like, I like watching him play.
Yes.
So I'm picking him. Yeah.
All right. Coach of the year. This one's fucking
hard.
great.
This is
Dan
hard,
Campbell, 12-5, first place in the North. Managed to get to the NFC Championship game. John Harbaugh, 13-4, first place in the AFC. D'Amico Ryans, 10-7, first place in the AFC South, and got a playoff win.
Yep.
With a rookie quarterback.
That
and
no
a team,
one expected.
A team that was the front runner to have the first pick in the draft this year, which would have been kind of sad for them because then it would have been traded to the Cardinals.
Yep.
You then
that
have
would have been wasted.
I know. Then you have Kyle Shanahan, 12-5, first place in the NFC. And Kevin Stefanski, 11-6 with the Browns, and doing this with, well, let's see, they had he who shall not be named that likes massages. They
Didn't
had
need him.
Dorian Thompson Robinson or whatever his name
what the
was.
fuck his name was. Yeah.
They had some other, I don't remember, they had a third quarterback, and then they finally brought Flacco in and just kept winning.
Yeah, got him
So-
to the fucking playoffs.
To me, D'Amico Ryans and Kevin Stefanski are
Yeah,
the ones I would
yeah.
like to see get this. I think Dan Campbell has a legitimate argument also. And it's nothing against John Harbaugh and Kyle Shanahan, but I think that there's a little bit of the fresh blood type thing
Yep.
in these awards, I think does have more of a pull with the coach of the year. Because like Matt Nagy, when he had his great 1 year with the Bears where he actually got a winning record, got it because this is his first year. Coach of the year. So D'Amico Ryans, first of all, for his age, for a rookie quarterback starting, all those young players they had to
Yep,
start.
yep.
He's the one I would like to see get it.
I want to see him get it. The only reason I don't want to see him get it is because Lovie Smith built the culture of that team.
I really think he did too.
And he was just, Ryans was just good enough to carry on with that culture,
Yep.
you know? And that's not a knock against D'Amico Ryans. I
No.
think he's a fantastic coach.
I think the fact that Lovie Smith is not working as a coach in the NFL right now is one of
Shameful.
the shameful
Shameful,
things.
And if he wouldn't have won that last game that cost them that fucking pick last year, they wouldn't have fucking had CJ Stroud.
No.
They would not have had CJ Stroud, which made their goddamn season.
Yep.
So fuck management. Yep.
I agree.
But
Oh.
I mean, he deserves it. He deserves it. Stefanski deserves it.
Yeah, both of them deserve it, so it's really hard to pick
If it's not
between
one of them two, I'll be fucking pissed.
Yes.
If it's one of them two, I don't give a shit which one it is.
Yep.
You know, one of those two has to fucking get it.
All right. The last one for the play well, there's assistant coach of the year. I'm not a big fan of that one, but comeback player of the year,
That one's fun. That
Tua
one's fun.
Tagovailoa. After all those concussions, not bad. Matthew Stafford, coming back from injury, having a great year this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Baker Mayfield, deservedly on this list. Damar Hamlin, because he's alive, I guess.
I know that was a joke for like the last 6 weeks. I can't believe he fucking made the list.
I know.
Like, come
I
on,
know.
NFL. Come on. Come on.
Like it's great that he's alive. Don't get me wrong here.
It's absolutely great he's alive. He didn't do anything.
He didn't. Just
Oh.
because you made the team doesn't make.
He had like one cool punt return all season long.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you know?
But then the one that's really interesting is Joe Flacco.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I love that one,
Like
though.
it's crazy because out of this, like I'm like, oh, it's definitely got to be one of the quarterbacks, and I'm down to Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield, and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford we've seen produce before, so
Yeah.
it's kind of tough with that one. So I'm really kind of down to Baker and Flacco.
But Stafford's like, we knew he was capable. We knew he was capable. He
Yep.
needed the right team. He needed the right management. He needed the right coaching.
Yep.
And it didn't happen in Detroit, you know?
Yep.
And he was fucking great this season.
Yep.
Fantastic this season,
Yep.
you know? Like on a team that, as we've said many times before, is still paying off that credit card debt for the Super Bowl win.
Yes,
You know?
and they are.
But Baker Mayfield's resurgence was so fucking fun to watch.
It was, and I really hope it can continue because he only signed a 1-year
Yeah,
contract.
yeah.
So I'm
I
assuming
think that
Tampa
was
Bay
really
wants to
smart.
sign him again. I can't imagine they wouldn't.
I hope it goes to Baker Mayfield. My gut tells me they're going to give it to Stafford.
That's kind of brutal.
And I'm a Stafford fan. I like Stafford. But I think it should go not to him.
All right. I have to agree. I think that for the comeback, Flacco definitely is deserving, but he didn't play the whole season.
That's the thing. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah, and
It
Baker,
was-
from the beginning of it, we're like, oh my God, they're going to be, they're not so bad. And he's kind of wishy-washy, meh, almost
Yeah.
season because they're NFC South.
Yeah.
But he won what he had to. Beat the Eagles in the playoffs, too.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great one for it. All right. I looked up 3 things today because I just thought it was kind of interesting because after watching the 49ers Lions game and then afterwards you could find videos all over the place cherry picking some very poor effort by Chase Young. That's not to say he didn't have plays that he made,
Yeah, yeah.
but there was some very bad effort on some of the plays. So I wanted to look at the 3 biggest mid-season trades that occurred. Now, one was Leonard Williams from the Giants to Seattle, and the Giants got back a 2024 second and a 2025 fifth, and got one of their largest contracts off their payroll. So that's kind of nice.
That was a good Giants move.
And
Not
he
so much for Seattle.
didn't end up doing a whole lot for Seattle. Had 4 sacks, had a pretty decent amount of tackles, but it didn't have the impact I thought it would for them.
They were looking for immediate impact, and it did not fucking happen.
Yes. Chase Young went to the 49ers for a 3rd-round draft pick, had 5 sacks for them. Again, he's got flash plays. The every down consistency, still not there with him.
he's not the guy for me. No.
Yep. And then the guy that because I am a Bears fan, I pay attention to a lot of Bears web fan sites
You
and
are?
things.
You're a Bears fan?
I am.
Oh.
And all the Bears fans like clamoring, saying, "Wait a minute, they got Chase Young for a third, and we paid a second for Montez Sweat." And I was sitting there going,
I see nothing wrong with Montez Sweat.
I have no problem with this.
Yeah.
He ended up leading us in sacks. He'd already led the Commanders in sacks. By the end of the season, he was still the sacks leader for the Commies. It's the first time ever a guy has led two teams in sacks in a
That's
season.
so fucking sad. That is so sad.
It's sad on both fronts. First of all, how bad our pass rush was before he got there, and secondly, how bad the defensive line for the Commies missed him once he was gone. We signed him to a large contract, and we had to give him the we suck bonus, and he got a little more a year than I would have expected. But his arrival coincided right with our defense taking a big
Starting
step
to
up.
fucking do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I actually went back and looked at the grades that ESPN gave these immediately.
Oh.
And they gave the Bears an F. Like, why are you okay, you just did another Chase Claypool trade, was actually what one of them said.
That's why though. Because it came right off the heels of that.
Yeah, you just traded another second-round pick.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? And then he's immediately a massive producer for us. Yeah. He's going to be a linchpin on our defense now.
Well, that's the people also going like, you need to get rid of Fields. You got to get rid of Fields.
Yeah, we do not.
You need to draft a quarterback with this early first-round pick, Like all season long,
It's going to be so loud for the next couple months.
This is not me. This is the pundit speaking.
No, I agree. I agree. And it... We'll get into that in a second. The other thing I want to talk about real fast before we get into a few of the interesting offseason news and notes I'd like to discuss is the new coaches and who we think is in the best position to do well.
A movement, too.
Because there's 8 new head coaches. Antonio Pierce was named. He's no longer interim. He is the head coach for the Raiders. Jared Mayo, new head coach for the Pats. Dan Quinn was signed by the Commanders. He had previously head coach with Atlanta, got into the Super Bowl, where they lost a 28-3 lead. Sorry, Matt Ryan, but that number will never escape you.
Nope.
Brian Callahan to the Titans. He was the Bengals OC. Kind of a rough spot to be in. I don't know what Will Levis really is. They don't have a whole lot. I don't think that King Henry's going to be back on that team. So it's kind of a weird spot to jump into. Raheem Morris to Atlanta. If they get a quarterback, that team can be changed pretty fast.
I like him in Atlanta.
And he also brought the Rams OC, who granted doesn't call plays, but understands the McVay system, is bringing that offense to Atlanta with him, which is interesting considering Shanahan was a offensive coordinator there, and it's basically the same coaching thing. Dave Canales, Carolina, was Tampa Bay's OC last year. The year before that, he was the quarterback's coach for Seattle. Did a great job with Geno Smith. Mike McDonald to the Seahawks was Baltimore's DC, and of course Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. I find Jim Harbaugh to be one where everyone's going to say this is the big, awesome move.
Yeah.
And everyone's making it that way already. But of the other ones, I know he already had the job, but I think keeping Antonio Pierce as the head coach was a great move by the Raiders.
It was very smart. Like, they were not bad. They were better than anyone expected. Maybe besides them.
Yeah. Especially once they got rid of McDaniels.
Yeah.
Like, the level of play increase when they finally had a coach they believed in was shocking.
Oh, I think Raiders front office was like finally looking at memes of McDaniels like, oh, this guy's awful?
Yeah.
Wait, he can only win when he cheats? What?
Yeah.
These are real?
Wait, Antonio Pierce just gave a speech that got the entire team fired up, and then McDaniels said, don't ever talk shit about the Pats again to him?
No.
Why would you care? That's not the team you coach anymore. Why do you give a shit?
How do you have nepotism towards non-family? What the fuck is this?
It's so weird. So yeah, I was curious what you think. Antonio Pierce to me is the most interesting of that, and the Raheem Morris one I find fascinating. The Jim Harbaugh one, it's going to get a lot of play all off season. I don't know who he's bringing in for offensive coordinator. Are they keeping Kellen Moore?
I mean, maybe Harbaugh can like get back into them, like make them do the things that they're capable of doing. Mm-hmm. But how much influence does he have, again, on the front office, on the choices they make, on the draft picks they want you to make? I don't see it happening.
And they're in salary cap hell.
Yeah.
They're like $80 million over the cap, which means they're probably going to have to get rid of 2 to 3 of their high-paying players. Now, some of them are aging out or injury issues. Mike Williams, a wide receiver, He's constantly injured. It makes sense to cut him.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen would hurt to cut, but he gets hurt a lot these days.
But you also want him to produce.
Yes.
I mean, he
Because
can't do it like he
if
used
you
to.
take all those reps from Justin Herbert, he's already probably not going to have Eckler back.
Yeah. I mean, but again, in that division, like, how do you not tank on purpose to fucking get some good picks?
That's a good question.
I don't know. You know, like when do you fucking reach that point of like, you know what? None of this is working. We need a real rebuild. But it doesn't start with fucking hiring Harbaugh.
No.
Like, no. Why? You know?
He could change a culture
Maybe.
at college levels, and he did for the 49ers, but it was also about
Briefly,
a lot of
and-
very good players
Yeah,
being drafted.
yeah.
I don't know. It's so... Herbert can't do it without wide receivers. You have to cut a lot of salary from this team.
Yeah.
And you're still paying Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack a lot, not to mention Derwin James.
Which you need to.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I kind of see them, and it's not as, well, not as bad because of the caliber of the players, but like, it's not quite the Barry Switzer taking over the Cowboys. But it's pretty fucking close. Like, you don't have all those winning pieces in place. You're just hoping he can take these pieces that might have something good and turn them into winning pieces.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see that happening. Like, that transition from college to the NFL was like, the players don't have to do a fucking thing for you if they don't want to.
yeah.
They fucking don't.
The
They
other-
are adults. They are fucking professional athletes. Like,
The other
it's
thing
not
is,
the fucking same.
the Broncos were playing better at the end of the season. I'm not sure. We'll get it. I was going to ask a question in a few minutes here about them. The Raiders were playing far better at the end of the season.
Yep.
And the Chiefs are not going anywhere.
But they're not playing better. Good enough to win is not the same as they were 2 years ago.
True, but
Yeah.
they could end up being Super Bowl champs nonetheless, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that division is still fuck all. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. Another thing I find interesting is Dak Prescott only has 1 year left on his contract. His salary cap hit is something like $55 million this year. So they need to consider, you can't trade him. You have no quarterback that's going to produce like
Yeah.
that.
What's the future like in Dallas?
There's also the fact, though, that once he reaches the playoffs, he doesn't really produce the same. What kind of contract are they going to give him? Like, and last time, the other thing is the things in his contract that are tough. They can't franchise him. Written into his contract.
Yep.
There's a no trade clause in his
Yep.
contract. He would have to give them
Like,
the okay.
He's in complete control.
Yeah.
Yep.
They have no leverage
Yep.
going into these contract talks.
That sounds really familiar. Who did Tony Romo used to be a quarterback for? Had a very similar contract before they didn't fucking do anything. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe this summer Jerry Jones dies
I doubt it.
and everything changes.
That's the picture of Dorian Gray, man. You think Jerry Jones is ugly?
A
You should see the
literary
picture.
reference.
You should see the picture in his closet.
It's a picture of him.
You think a brutal sea hag is ugly already?
Like, honestly, and like, I mean, the season Dak had, that was an amazing season.
Yep.
It was fantastic.
Went from leading the league in interceptions down to, hold on, because I wrote it down.
Well, Josh Allen kind of helps that out. But
Well, yeah, but he only had 9 interceptions to go with 36 touchdowns.
Yep.
He had a lot better year this
He had
year.
a great season. And
Yep.
I fucking hate the Cowboys. If
Yep.
you've ever listened or watched this show, you know, I fucking hate the Cowboys. He had a good fucking season.
Yep.
But he's not young.
No. But he can get another 4 or 5 years easy.
But
His
he,
rushing is no longer. A
Oh,
thing.
no,
He
no, no.
That leg injury he had a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He hasn't been the same running the ball since.
he can still hobble a little bit. Yeah. But like,
And
what do
step
you,
out of bounds right before he reaches
what
for
do
the
you
end zone.
do with that? If he comes back, he's like, you know what? I want 4-year, $80 million.
Oh, he wants more. Oh, 80 a year?
Yeah.
Well, he won't get that, but 4 years, probably 50 a year. I could see him wanting.
I-
And at the going rate for quarterbacks, he might actually come to the table and want more.
But then they just look a little further south, down I-10, or no, 90, I-10,
Down to Houston,
down to Houston. You know, like, I haven't lived in Texas for too long.
they drive
You know,
like 95
like,
hours to get to Houston.
Wait, that Stroud guy, how much is he getting paid?
Yeah.
You know?
Those rookie contracts, man. Yeah, I just think it's interesting. Like, there's so much already that they have to deal with
Yeah.
because it is Dallas. Now they got to find a new defensive coordinator too. I don't know if they're going to do that from within or not.
I think they need a new head coach.
They're keeping him.
I know they are, but it's because he works well with Jerry Jones. And like that never works out in the history of Dallas, you know?
I know. So, Broncos fan,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
what's going to happen with Russell Wilson?
Not a fucking clue.
No?
Not a fucking clue.
Because they benched him because they didn't want to have him get injured because they wanted to get rid of some thing in his contract that stated that if he got injured, he was due another like $35 million or something.
If he is healthy as of March, which is a weird fucking time period,
Right?
but it makes sense financially. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, we've scooted under that cap hit.
Yep.
What's next?
Yeah.
Nobody fucking wants him.
That's the problem.
You just bench him and fucking pay that goddamn money?
The problem, because you say we'll trade him. That contract is massive, and
He's an amazing agent,
and the cap hit is brutal. Like we're
Yep.
talking up to $70 million, and the dead cap hit, should they actually get rid of him, is like, do you eat that? Because your team is going to be hot shit.
Yep.
And I mean that in a bad way.
Oh yeah.
Like hot, stanky, humid day where it's not drying up and you just have to smell it the whole day.
Why would you just sit there and smell it?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how bad. Russell Wilson's contract is horrible, man.
And like he is a serviceable quarterback under the right system, and he definitely improved this year.
Yes.
But he's not the quarterback they want.
No.
And he's not the quarterback that I want.
It's not the quarterback Sean Payton wants. I think that's probably
no.
one of the more important factors here.
Yep.
Even though he said, if I was coaching that team, I could make him a winner again.
Here's your chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I see, in like reality, I see them next year, him still being the starting quarterback. Them doing about the same they did this year. Maybe coming in second in the conference, missing the playoffs by a game and a half.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he will be the quarterback next year?
I do. Yeah. I don't want that. But the money he's going to cost them to not fucking play.
Well, the same question could be asked with the Browns.
Yeah. Oh,
Deshaun Watson did not produce that well while he was playing.
And
Joe Flacco stepped in out of nowhere and has said now he would still like to play some more in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of contract he could bring him back on, and would he be willing to be Deshaun Watson's backup? Because can you have the backup making whatever 50, 60 year guaranteed?
Yeah. For the next, now it's 5 years.
I think he has 3 years left on it.
Just 3. Okay.
Yeah. This was the second year, so yeah, 3 years left.
Oh yeah, because the first year didn't really count.
Yeah, because it was only $1 million salary because they knew he was going to get suspended and did him a favor and made his cap hit absolutely awful for them. So I find both of those situations to be interesting, to say the least, because the teams they have around them, the Broncos need some more offensive pieces, I think, but their defense is pretty good outside of that Miami game.
But how shitty their offense has been is just demoralizing that amazing defense.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. I mean, like, literally, like the last 2 years, like last year when the Broncos were garbage, like that, 4 more points, they would have won. 5 more points, they would have won. Like, within like a 5-point margin, they would have been like 13 fucking wins. Mm-hmm. The defense can't take that 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. 2 years in a row was fucking tough. 3 years, not going to fucking happen, And they're just wasting that defense.
And I don't see Russell Wilson really being the most liked locker room guy.
And that's the thing, like, your quarterback doesn't have to be the captain, and he is not their captain. But you need a quarterback that can captain a team. Mm-hmm. You need that person that gives a shit about the team, what they're doing, to fucking hang out with your goddamn teammates.
To where they can actually call you and not have to
give
go
them your
through your
fucking phone
agent.
number? No shit. When I found out that last year, Jesus fucking Russ.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He's got some issues, man. Speaking of quarterbacks, if Scotty was here, I'd love to hear his take, but do you think the Giants draft a quarterback this year, or do you think they draft a wide receiver or a lineman or something to help out the guys they got?
Fuck it. They can take Russ Wilson. They're really big on spending money on shit they don't really need. They need a goddamn quarterback,
I mean, they're paying Daniel Jones $160 over $4.
He can warm that bench really nicely.
Yeah, no kidding. What a brutal
Everybody
situation.
knew he was not the answer.
Yeah.
Everybody on the planet, except for people that signed that check.
Everybody knew that Saquon Barkley was actually the engine for that offense, and yet he's the one that got the 1 year, $11 million.
And that's what worries me about the Giants. Like, he got abused this year because he was the only guy. The only guy, you know?
Which makes me think they should draft a wide receiver. I just
Yeah.
don't know if they will.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, like
Or
Malik
maybe-
Neighbors or the Romo Dunze, whatever his name is,
Yeah,
from Washington,
yeah.
would be a nice fit on their team.
Or pay attention to the rest of the NFL and how well they're using tight ends and fucking get one of those.
Oh, are they paying? They're not paying Waller enough?
Oh, they're fucking paying him enough. You know?
Yeah, the other thing that's going on right now that I'm having to hear a lot about is Colin Cowherd saying that Caleb Williams doesn't want to be a Bear. And of course, Caleb Williams' team is calling him like, hey, we never said that. It was kind of nice to see Colin Cowherd have to eat his words and go back on something.
Because rarely does he admit to doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I still say, and I realize there are Bears fans who disagree with me, I still say Fields is not the problem. Luke Getsy was a big problem. Lack of anyone outside of Kmet and Moore to throw to, because
Yeah.
man, Mooney did not have a good year. The third, fourth, and fifth wideouts. I mean,
And
Equanimeous
he
St. Brown is a
could.
great
He
blocking
could.
wide receiver.
Oh.
Problem is, when he's in the game, everyone knows the ball's not going his way.
Yep.
Because he can't catch for shit. And I still just say, trade that pick. Go back to pick 2 or 3. Get Marvin Harrison. Use your second pick on offensive lineman or defensive lineman, and just continue building.
As not a Bears fan, I would 100% agree. Yep.
Because, by the way, if all these teams are so interested in trading for Justin Fields, why are they so interested in trading for him if he's the issue?
Yep.
It makes no sense to me, these arguments that I hear. But it'll be a whole offseason we get to listen to that fun stuff. Also interesting to me this week that I just thought I'd bring up, the Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson did interview with the Commies, did not get the job. Apparently the Commies ownership didn't think he interviewed well, and he thought the Commies ownership were a little too egotistical about their NFL knowledge and football knowledge. So it was both of them saying no thank you. And he is going back to the Lions for a second straight year where it was supposed to be possible head coach material.
That's good, though.
I agree. For the Lions, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jared Goff is probably just ecstatic right now. Because that man does a lot of things to put him in good positions to produce well.
Yep.
And that offensive line is really good, too. And they have a lot of weapons, so he can really do some good there.
And this goes back to, we've talked about this before. Usually in the offseason, if you're a coordinator, even if you're a special teams coach, a quarterbacks coach, if you are so goddamn great at that job, what's the impetus to no, I want to be a head coach? So if you're a quarterbacks coach, I want to be a coordinator. If you're a coordinator, I want to be a head coach. Mm-hmm. What's so wrong about being fucking amazing at what you're fucking amazing at? Just do that.
So, yeah, because I think Vic Fangio is at that point. I think he's an example. He tried being a head coach.
I think he's a pile of garbage.
Well, that's because he wasn't a very, very good head coach for y'all. Your defense was not bad under him, though.
This is true. This is true.
And I realized that he and the Dolphins weren't a good fit. I think the fact that he wanted to leave that job, wanted to move back to the Northeast, be closer to family.
That stuff matters. Yes,
Yes.
I can see that kind of stuff.
And the fact that he was so willing to leave, and the Dolphins are like, fine, and then the Eagles are like, we would love to have you. It's a great move by the Eagles.
Yeah. And, I think he can fit in there pretty well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he is an example of one of those coaches that seems to realize, this is what I do well.
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't have done this. Well,
yeah. So, I don't know. Some people are ready to be that CEO that just oversees everything. Some people are just better having their hands deep into coaching the players and creating schemes and things of that sort. It's just...
But at some point, you think about, the great minds of NFL coaching, No, there was something that they did. Well, not something. There's 1,000 things that they did that they could do on a daily basis that made them fantastic head coaches. Mm-hmm. And then there's quarterback coaches that have been floating around the league for 30 years that have only been quarterback coaches. And they're goddamn amazing at that. Mm-hmm. And that's all they do. Mm-hmm. They're like, nope, this is what I'm great at. This is what I love to do. I've won multiple Super Bowls doing this. I'm going to keep doing fucking this. How is that a bad thing?
Well, it's kind of like the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo. He was a head coach for the Giants for a while.
Yeah.
He likes being a defensive coordinator, apparently.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being an excellent defensive coordinator.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
That man will have a job forever.
Yep.
So, just thoughts.
I mean, just keep doing that.
Which is interesting because it takes me into my just the worst for this week.
No.
Number one is that the Raiders were going to sign Cliff Kingsbury to be their offensive coordinator. And I'm not against them doing that. I think his offense, he needs to make adjustments to the NFL because he never does motion or anything of that sort. So it's the defense just gets to line up and be like, all right, there's not going to be anybody moving. We don't get to show whether that we're in man-to-man or in zone. This is great. But he backs out of it after almost signing, and now he's apparently going to be the Commies offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So is he thinking they're going to get Caleb Williams? I don't know what's going on here. Because he coached him at USC.
Yeah.
And then we have the Raiders then falling back on their second pick. Apparently Luke Getzey's going to be signing to be their offensive coordinator after being the offensive coordinator for the Bears. That could not get all the talent out of Justin Fields, but somehow the Raiders think he's the right pick. I don't understand this move by the Raiders. After I applaud the Antonio Pierce one, I don't truly understand this one.
Like, what do they see?
I don't know. Maybe they're looking at it and saying, well, if they're looking at plays and saying, Jesus, this guy's wide open, this guy's wide open, and they're saying and Fields just didn't throw him the ball, I guess that's one thing. But isn't that also on that coach to properly coach the player?
That's a weird one, though.
Isn't it?
I mean,
I could see him going back to being a positional coach and not being an offensive coordinator for a couple years and then getting another chance. I'm just kind of amazed the minute he gets let go. Within 2 weeks, he has another job as an offensive coordinator. It's kind of amazing to me. Because we were not great at anything this past season. The year before, we were very high up in rushing offense. It was very much helped out by the fact that Justin Fields had over 1,000 rushing yards as well. So I don't understand it for the Raiders.
that's a weird one.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Because, like, you think about, like... All right, so, like, a normal non-NFL job or non-professional athlete's sports interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, what have you done? What can you do? Mm-hmm. Like, what's your culture that you're bringing? What's your attitude? You know. But with like professional sports, you're like, we have 1,100 billion hours of tape of what you do. And like, do they see players just not responding to what he wanted them to do?
Maybe. I find it very fascinating. I don't understand it quite. But it is what it is. And just because of the fact that Kingsbury hemmed and hawed and then backed out of the job, I call that my just the worst this week. Uh-oh.
Kingsbury always strikes me as they...
And I went to Texas Tech, by the way. I'm a fan of Kingsbury. He was a great quarterback for us. I'm glad he had a great career for us. I think he can be a very good college coach. I don't think that offense works in the pros. They've tried to do this offense in the pros before. It works for about half the season. Everyone catches on to what the different offensive players are doing because you're never changing their positions on the field. And by the second half of the season, they're shutting you down.
Kingsbury, and this is no disrespect to Texas Tech.
That's fine.
He is a stock trader pretending to be a coach. He sees the gains and he goes for them. He sees the losses and he bets against them. He doesn't actually do anything.
That's interesting.
Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm. What would you say you do here?
Kinda. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, the guy's had success at the college level as an offensive coordinator. And, yes, USC didn't have the best season this year like they were hoping for, but their defense was one of the worst in the NCAA. The interior offensive line was so bad that basically the minute Caleb Williams got the ball, he was running. Because he had to be running.
No such thing as college defense.
They were, they were ranked in the hundreds. There's only 122 teams in the NCAA. Let me look it up. I believe they were in the... man.
He was just below Texas State.
Yeah.
Or like Mississippi Southern or,
I'm going to have to... talk about your just the worst while I look this up.
So my just the worst, and I really hope you haven't seen this before.
I have not, I don't think.
So we always talk about, usually, I mean, our all-time just the worst are just the broadcasters. Always.
Absolutely.
Because they're goddamn awful. Aaron Andrews should be up in the booth.
Put her in the booth.
Game. Chris Collinsworth, who, if you only watch football casually, you might not know that he used to be a wide receiver. And I believe this is during his second year as a wide receiver in the NFL. He had an interview.
Really?
I think probably.
Playing from iPhone 117.
I walk around with $100 bills hanging out of my pockets usually, and try and give it my best shot, because before I ever made any money, it was pretty much big nothingsville. I like girls that aren't too bright because you can trick them a little bit.
What?
Rockers all love me. Those are my big girls, and high school girls love me. 14 to 18, I'm a big star with them. As soon as they mature, after about 18 years old, they start figuring out that, wait a minute, I know there's better than that out there, but most people don't take me very seriously at all, and I can't understand why.
So Chris, why do you...
14
Wow.
to 18, I like, because they're pretty dumb and haven't figured shit out.
In case you didn't hear what was just said, that was a quote from Chris Collinsworth's son. That is not something that Brian is saying.
Not on a trick video, on a goddamn interview with like CBS News when he was a wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh my god. Oh, so that was Chris Collinsworth. That wasn't even his son.
No, that was Chris Collinsworth. Chris
Oh,
Collinsworth.
my god.
Man, Chris Collinsworth.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
Piece of shit.
He's the Karl Malone of wide receivers in the NFL.
Yep.
Holy hell.
Far and away the worst. What a piece
How
of
has
shit.
that interview never been heard of before?
Right? I just discovered it this week.
Wow.
Good thing about being sick with COVID, lots of times for videos.
Yeah, that's awful. I did find their their ranking for points per game was 123rd. Their total yard.
28?
I don't remember the total. I'll
Jesus.
pull you up. Their total yards per game given up was 123rd. They gave up 438 yards a game, 35 points a game, basically. That's what USC's defense was this past year.
But Caleb's going to turn all that around for no fucking reason.
Yeah. So really, the kid, like when people are like, boy, he's trying to play hero ball a lot. Kind of had to,
Kinda
number
had to.
one. But also his offensive line, like I said, it was kind of reminiscent of when I was like, Jesus, man, every time Fields gets the ball for the Bears, he's having to run immediately. It's like,
Yeah, that's what he's used to.
yeah, like, is that why you want to bring him in? Is that why everyone's saying he'll fit so well?
So now I feel kind of bad. I still believe Caleb is a bust in the NFL. But Jesus, to overcome that shitty
To win
of a
7
defense,
games with that kind of
Jesus.
defense is pretty amazing.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So yeah, boy, all he does is play hero ball. Well, he has to. Like, he doesn't have a choice. They have to score 37 points a game in order to win.
Yep. And he has to avoid every goddamn sack, every fucking snap. Yep.
Yeah. So,
That is awful.
I know. Isn't
For a
it?
top tier university.
Yeah, for a flagship program in the
Jesus.
NCAA. USC, I know they've had some down years,
But what the fuck?
this is a flagship program that has won many championships. This is like the sparkling jewel of the West Coast for college football.
I mean, look at like LSU, Alabama. Their defenses were never that fucking bad.
No.
Never.
No. That's a Big 12 defense.
Jesus. I mean, yeah, you score 68 points, you're going to fucking win,
And
you know?
what do they think they're going to do in the Big 10? Ohio State's going to average like 80 points a game against them if that's how they have defense. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun watching the NCAA with these new conferences. Holy
Oh,
shit.
my God.
I don't even know what to say about it anymore. All right. Let's move on to the Super Bowl picks and close this out. So, it is San Francisco. It is KC. I think there's some interesting matchups in this. I'm very interested in watching the 49ers defensive line against the KC offensive line and vice versa.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
KC defensive line. Basically because I think the tackles for the Chiefs are a liability that can be taken advantage of.
Yep.
As
yep.
Nick Bosa said this week when he looked at film, when they said, what do you see from their tackles? He said, well, they hold a lot. It's a pretty good reaction, and it was a nice little bit, I won't lie. But on the other side of the ball, like, Trent Williams is a phenomenal tackle for the 49ers. I don't know. I know Chris Jones is great, and he's going to be going against the interior defensive line, so he's not going to have to worry about going against Trent Williams. But Trent Williams basically shuts down one of your defensive ends pretty much immediately.
Yeah, at least one.
Yep. But the Chiefs have a lot of great players. They have a very young defense that got a ton of playing time last year. They are really good. So I'm very fascinated by this game. There's a lot of matchups I find interesting.
I think that's where like the crux of the game's going to go. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's going to be D line over D line. Like who can do the most damage? You know.
It's going to be a fun game. I think it's an interesting matchup of offenses and defenses. I think the fact that there's no real standout wideout for the Chiefs. I realize Rashee Rice is having a good rookie year. It's going to be interesting to see how much they focus on trying to shut down Kelsey and how much that opens up the other guys, and if the other guys can do anything. Because if Valdez-Scantling is just dropping every pass again.
Or Tony.
If I was him, I wouldn't even put Tony in the game.
If those guys can wake up and catch the balls that are right in their goddamn chest, different game.
Absolutely.
Hasn't happened all season.
No.
Not with both of them
Like
in
at
the
this
same
point,
game.
I would say just put Kelsey and Clyde Edwards-Helaire as your slot wideouts.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like Kelsey doesn't want to block anyway, so I think it'll be. I mean, listen, Brock Purdy's a great quarterback. You know who has the advantage at the quarterback position. Yeah. You know who has the advantage at the running back position. It's not even close. The 49. Listen, I love Mason Isaiah Pacheco, but McCaffrey's a better running back.
Yeah,
it's just
far and
true.
away.
And I think that their backup running back is also fantastic. Elijah Mitchell.
Yep.
Great power running back. Gets hurt, but for one game, your backup, nice. Wideouts, obviously the 49ers, Debo, Ayuk, Jawan Jennings. They have definitely the better players there. Tight ends, depends on what you're asking about. Is it receiving? I think it's kind of a push. I think George Kittle is an amazing receiving tight end. Definitely the better blocker.
I feel like, especially after the championship game, which Kittle was, besides blocks, completely ineffective. Mm-hmm. And that might have been the play. That might have been the coaching calls the entire game. Like, I kind of feel like Kittle's going to have a breakout game. He's
kind of due. Like he did. I would have to go back and look. I don't remember him doing amazing. A lot in the first Super Bowl they were in against the Chiefs.
Not amazing, not a lot. I mean, more catches than the fucking championship game last week, you know. But like, I think he is due to be the guy. Mm-hmm. I think the big thing is like, there's not amazing secondaries on either team.
I think Kansas City has a very good secondary. I don't think it's like the shutdown.
No.
Like Snead is a very good defensive back.
Yep,
they have some good players in there, but I don't think it's like you got Deion Sanders on one side.
You know, like they've got, both teams have, I don't even want to say, wow, good to adequate safeties, defensive backs. It's going to be a weird Super Bowl.
The 49ers definitely have the advantage at the linebacker position.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Fred Warner alone.
Yeah.
I really think that there is an advantage there. And then it comes down to who do you think can scheme better offensively? Well, it's two very different offensive coordinator styles. Andy Reid, it's that West Coast style offense that's been around for so long. Yep. Kyle Shanahan, I mean, he's doing exactly what his dad did, and he can scheme like a motherfucker. And you got a Swiss Army knife in Debo.
Yeah.
I haven't even really mentioned him much. Like, he is kind of like an X factor because he's not a typical wide receiver.
And he also wasn't amazing. Didn't need to be.
No, well, his shoulder was hurt.
Yeah.
Luckily, it wasn't broken.
Yeah.
So, there's just so many. I really think this could be a very good game. And I hope it's a good game.
Is this going to be more of a game of coach versus coach?
Very well could be. And I tell you what, again, I realize we talked about this earlier, but those 49ers defensive coordinators need to sit down with their defensive position coaches and with all their players, and they need to watch that first half of that Lions game.
Yep.
Until those players are so angry. Like, they should be watching it every day leading up to the Super Bowl. I want them furious about the effort they gave.
This is how you fucked up. This is how you fucked up. Yeah.
And then finally,
this is the read that you missed.
Like an hour before the game Sunday, guys, we got to show you a few more things and show them some more things they fucked up. And just have them going out there furious and full of anger is what I would do.
Yeah. No, you save that. If you need it for the second half.
Oh, that's
and you
interesting.
separate the defense in the second half, halftime, and like, we fucking told you, you know,
Right.
if they need to, you know,
Right. I don't know if the Chiefs can run like that, but Pacheco is not a running back that you can give the little effort with.
No,
That
no.
man runs hard.
Yeah.
And he will run through little weak arm tackles. Like I do like
I
Pacheco a
don't
lot.
see
He's just
happening.
not as
Yeah.
good as McCaffrey. It's
Yeah.
just it's true. He's not as skilled of a running back. It's not that he doesn't give great effort. They are both
Yep.
never going to be players that you question the effort from.
Oh God, no.
It's
Yeah.
just the sheer talent that McCaffrey has is on a far different level than almost every other
Yeah.
running back in the NFL. I don't know if there's even anyone I would put
Does it-
close
do you
to
have,
his
like, a
level.
comparison. Yeah.
As I sit here and think,
But it's fucking hard because he's not a running back. He's a running back by position.
he can do everything.
Yeah.
He actually pass blocks very well.
Yep.
He catches extraordinarily well.
Yep.
He's really like Jahmyr Gibbs is like a newer version, but it's still not as good of
Yeah,
an interior runner. Granted, he's a rookie. Who knows
Yeah.
what he'll be in
Yeah.
3 years? He might be the next one.
And I neither like monster builds.
Bijan
Just-
would be another one I would say has the capability,
The potential, yes.
but can he
yes.
do it in the end is another question.
Does he have the smarts to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because
Yeah.
Arthur Smith's offense was terrible. But hey, Steelers signed him to be their offensive coordinator. I didn't even get into that. That'll be for the next podcast where I could go off on that one. So Scott picked the 49ers to win this. And for his MVP, he went with McCaffrey,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a very fair choice. And Eric also chose the 49ers, but he went with Debo to be the MVP. So I'll ask first, who you think wins the game?
I'm going Niners.
Okay.
I think a good game. I'm saying like 31-27 Niners. McCaffrey. I mean, once again, because he's capable of doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if I see a McCaffrey to Kittle touchdown in the Super Bowl.
That would be awesome.
He's thrown from time to time.
Yep.
You know? And that might be the only fucking
I
good
believe
catch
Debo
Kittle
has also.
Debo has as well. Yeah.
I think he threw a touchdown pass to Jawan Jennings 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it happening, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and again, like, all my biases aside of hating the Chiefs because they're in my fucking division, they are not the team they once were. Because they're missing some key pieces. Receivers being one of the big ones,
Yep.
you know?
This is an interesting argument, though, with Mahomes of you give the best quarterback in the league the massive money. You have good defensive players. There has to be somewhere where the position isn't as strong. And it's kind of what Brady did, other
was
than the
gonna
years
say,
where he
Brady.
had Randy Moss.
Yeah.
But he
Outside
had
of
a
that,
great tight
yeah,
end to
yeah.
throw to,
Like,
as Mahomes does.
multiple tight ends to
Yeah.
throw to, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and-
So it's an interesting comparison.
and
It
Andy
really
Reid
is.
can scheme that shit. He
Yes.
can do it, you know? It's like,
He can scheme
fuck, you know?
Kelsey open
yes.
as much as he
yes.
wants to.
But if he's the only legitimate threat, we're like, oh no, that receiver, he's going to drop it.
Yeah.
Oh, that receiver, he's going to drop. You know, when you can't rely on your receivers to catch a ball, what the fuck do you do? You know?
So I'm going with the Chiefs to win
Oh.
because at this point, I'm tired of saying that someone's going to beat them. Because I feel like I have picked against them a lot this year, and it has bitten me bad every time. And I am going to go with a surprise pick. I'm going to go with Rashee Rice for the MVP.
I wouldn't be upset if that happened. If the Chiefs win,
I think legitimately it'll be Patrick Mahomes if the Chiefs win. But I would like to see Rashee Rice as a weird dark horse one get it. Travis Kelce would be nice too, but it'd be kind of almost too much because and I don't listen.
Well, that's part of
at
the
this,
script
At this
already.
point, I've stopped caring. Like, okay, show Taylor Swift for the 30 seconds. I don't care anymore.
that was
Like,
almost my just the worst.
at this point. I don't care anymore. Like,
I don't give a fuck how many times they show Taylor Swift.
because she's not asking for the camera.
Nope, I don't give a fuck. Did anyone bitch when Jack Nicholson is courtside at the Lakers games? Fuck no.
And by the
You
way,
know?
I also was here loving it when Jason Kelsey was being
Oh,
shown all over the
fuck
place.
yes.
You know, and it's like,
And you know he's gonna be there.
yes.
Yes.
Although, who knows? Maybe they'll need a center and they'll be like this weird, like Mason Melcy. I know they can't do it.
I wish it could happen. I wish it could. You know?
But no, like I don't give a shit. It's just it would feed too much into the NFL script writing bullshit
Yeah,
to have
yeah.
Travis Kelsey win it, and then they would probably ask for him to propose to Taylor, which that would be fucking god awful too.
Oh god, that would never happen.
Yeah.
No, he's smarter than that,
yeah.
and she's
Travis,
smarter
don't do
than
that on national TV.
So if the Chiefs win, I mean, all of my bets are based on the Niners winning. If the Chiefs win, I would love to see like a, they're going forward on like 3rd and 2, back at their own fucking 9, and Pacheco has a fucking touchdown run.
Oh yeah,
How fucking beautiful would that be?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
It'd be fantastic. And then him win MVP of the Super Bowl. I'd be totally fine with that, you know?
I don't remember the last time a running back got MVP of the Super Bowl.
It's been a hot minute, you know?
Because there's been some running backs that had great games and then didn't win it. Because
Yeah.
this is going back a long ways, and it's
Well-
against your team, so I'm sorry. But like when the Redskins had Doug Williams,
Yep.
and he threw for 4 touchdown passes in a quarter,
Yep.
which is still a record for the first half in the Super Bowl, let alone a quarter.
Yep.
But Timmy Smith, their running back, had like 200 yards rushing,
Yeah.
and he didn't even come close to
Nope.
being the MVP of that
They
game.
love quarterbacks. Well, especially backup quarterbacks. They love it when a backup quarterbacks win.
True.
You know?
But it's kind of like the Desmond Howard argument. Is like it's kind of nice to see someone other than a quarterback win these
It
things.
absolutely is. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if the 49ers win, yeah, I could see McCaffrey being the MVP.
Yeah. I don't see it going to Purdy. No matter how well he does, unless he spreads it so goddamn evenly, you can't not give
Yeah,
it to him.
if every wide receiver and tight end that we've mentioned has like 5 catches and
Yeah.
60 yards,
Yeah.
you know, like
Like, you cannot pick one. There's no amazing breakout play.
Yeah.
That's the only way Purdy wins Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. Interesting that none of us think a defensive player, because Chris Jones could have a huge impact. Nick Bosa could have a huge impact.
Has that happened since, 82?
Richard Dent got the Super Bowl MVP in 80. It was the 85 season. Technically, the Super Bowl was in 86.
Okay, Was that the last one, though?
Well, I think Flacco got MVP of the last Ravens win, but I think when the Ravens beat the
No,
Giants.
defensive player.
No. But I think when the Ravens beat the Giants, one of the Ravens may have gotten it.
Oh, like
then.
Ray Lewis or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll do a quick search on that because that was a great defense there, too.
But they have to have the flashiest fucking plays.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
beyond, it's got to be on SportsCenter
shit.
nonstop.
Your Broncos. Von Miller. Oh, a Super Bowl MVP, a Super Bowl 50.
Oh, and I did not agree with that. Yep, I did not agree with that
The
pick.
Super Bowl 2 years before that, Malcolm Smith of the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah. Flashy ass fucking plays. Yeah.
Dexter Jackson when the Bucks beat the living shit out of the Raiders. Ray Lewis when the Ravens beat the
Okay, yeah,
Giants.
yep.
And then Larry Brown when the Cowboys beat the Steelers. Larry Brown then turned that into a massive contract with the Raiders and never produced.
Yeah.
And then Richard Dent with the Bears. There's more than that, but I mean, how far back do you want me to go?
Unheard of, though.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. We're due then.
We kind of are, aren't we? Oh, Harvey Martin and Randy White split one for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Chuck Howley,
Which,
linebacker
that was
for
a
the
good
Cowboys.
call. Yeah. But that was when they were goddamn unstoppable,
Yes. There is also the argument to say, like, why can't you just have the defense of a team be the MVP? Like, why do you have to pick one? Like, because when the Bears beat the Patriots, like,
It was the Bears.
it was the defense.
Yeah.
Dent had 2.5 sacks and a forced fumble. It was a great game.
But again, you still see it on highlights.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's not just him getting sacks that you see.
No, no,
So it's
yeah.
everybody on
Yeah.
that defense got sacks.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when you have an amazing defensive play, especially at the line, it's usually because the line is that fucking good.
True.
And, they were double blocking that allowed you to fucking get in there
Mm-hmm.
and hit that ball or force that fumble or, Yeah.
It'd be nice to see an offensive lineman get one too, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I believe that happened once. I looked it up at one point. No, not MVP. Player of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Chiefs, I'll go 30, 49ers 27. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it'll be a good game.
Yep.
But I think the Chiefs win in the end.
I mean, I think like for like the people that don't love football, it's going to be a good game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you're a Swiftie, great. I don't know if she'll be there. She's got a tour in like Japan or something. You know,
It's funny though that everyone's complaining about, oh my God, are they going to show her? But it's like, dude, half of you people are talking about how much you want to watch the commercials in this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
why are you upset if they show her for 30 seconds?
or the
Like,
Puppy Bowl.
Yeah,
Which
like,
is fucking great.
It's
All of great.
hilarious.
Commercials are great. Puppy Bowl is
I
great.
remember back in the day, the Budweiser beer bowl or whatever
Yeah,
they called it
yeah.
during the halftime was fucking hysterical.
Like, again, it's like, enjoy the things you enjoy
Mm-hmm.
and just fucking enjoy them, you know? I mean, we're going to be drinking, fucking watching the Super Bowl, having a good fucking time.
Yeah. I don't care how often they show some star. Because, oh, by the way, it's the Super Bowl. I think the tickets started at $8,000. Which is crazy because the first Super Bowl, I think it was $12.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, inflation.
Since the 60s, that's a lot of inflation,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
But yeah, that's our picks. We will not be doing a podcast next Sunday as we'll be getting inebriated and watching the game.
As you should be as well.
We will be endeavoring to do a podcast the next Sunday so that we can go over the Super Bowl, make our little... talk some more about the off-season comings and goings,
Yep.
but we'll mainly discuss the Super Bowl
Oh,
and
yeah.
what we thought of it. And also, we will have then who has been named... I believe we should know at that point who's been named to be a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
We should also have the
Well, the list.
the awards. Yes.
The giant list.
Well, they already released part of the list. I don't have the whole thing in front of me, but we can go over that on the next podcast.
And all the
so.
people that should have gotten it last year,
Devin Hester, NFL.
Uh-huh,
What the
uh-huh.
fuck?
you pieces of shit.
God. I don't care if all he really did was return kicks. He did it better than anyone else. Why is this a question? Deion Sanders is right, though.
The Hall of Very
the Hall of
Good.
Very Good needs to stop being a thing. It needs to start...
Yeah, yeah.
But they don't want to be like baseball. They don't want to have a year where no one gets elected. And I get that, because there's a lot of fanfare. A lot of money made.
But the fans know that that should happen from time to time. Mm-hmm. From time to time, you're right. Nope. No one deserves to get in, especially a first balloter. Last year,
Yeah?
I'm not a Bears fan. Devin Hester?
Yeah, I know. I was
fuck?
I was fucking furious.
What the fuck?
It's one thing you didn't get in the first year.
No
The
one
first
did
ballot-
more on... I mean, first ballot is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Really fucking hard. We thought for sure. Okay, second year.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure, second
23
year.
and 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it's brutal. I'm still angry about that one. So, any last thoughts from the championship games or going into the Super Bowl before we sign off?
It's been good. I mean, the championship games were fucking great.
Great
I mean,
playoffs this whole year.
I wanted a little bit more from the Rams, Jesus. From the Ravens game, a little bit more. I wanted to see Lamar Jackson really settle into what he's become, and he didn't. But I feel like he'll learn, and he'll
He's
do better
still
next
young.
year. Oh,
I believe he was
yeah.
20 when he got drafted. Like he's not even 30 years old
It's
yet.
fucking great,
It's
yeah.
fantastic.
And as the quarterback, no problem, you know?
Yeah.
And then on the other end, you have Joe Flacco fucking coming out of his fucking cocoon. You know, I was like, God damn.
It's been a great football season.
Yeah, yeah.
The things that still sticks with me so far is the injuries at the beginning of the year. Just sad. Oh, and on our next podcast, we will discuss the Aaron Rodgers reports that have come out of Jets camp. Just because at this point, I will have to do that because I just like dunking on that guy.
He makes it so goddamn easy to do.
I know. He really does. All right, well, that is our podcast this week. Sorry it ran a little long, but we haven't got to hang out because of all the COVID.
Yeah.
And this was a lot of fun. So next time we will hopefully have the whole crew here again. It's always nice to have everybody. But hope you all have a wonderful week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I will say, and I realize it's not really what we do here, but don't drink and drive. You're going to go to either a party usually for the Super Bowl or to a bar. Either walk or get an Uber. Do not drive when you've been drinking, guys. It's not worth it. And no reason to ruin a really fun weekend with that kind of shit.
We should record ourselves drunk stumbling back home while walking after the Super Bowl next week. Like, no, we mean it. We really mean it.
Yeah, and we'll walk in negative 35 snowing temperatures here, so
Would not be the first or the 20th time. Yep.
we do it a lot. All right, so we are Half This Is Live. I'm Matty Fax. Brian the Professor over to my right. Hopefully next time we'll have Scotty Stats, Mr. Woodcock, and of course, Up Greg back. But y'all have a wonderful week. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see y'all in a couple weeks.